everyone, today I'm going to be doing a review on these REEVES watercolour sets. I have seen these on Amazon for about £9.30 or something, so they're not the cheapest watercolour set, but REEVES do have like a bad rep for being really cheap and a bit rubbish. But to be honest, I don't remember buying these. I just kind of found them randomly the other day and they're not open, so I thought that I would try them out and see where we get with them, because I have seen a few reviews about these. I haven't read anything about them so as not to be like biased, but briefly when I looked I saw that they have like a bad rep for being just cheap basically, but I've seen some that are cheaper than this, so I don't know how well they're going to work out. So is this a palette? No. Okay, so the first thing is that they don't have a palette with them, which is a shame, because watercolours usually come with a palette. So first off, I'm just going to be testing each colour on this watercolour paper and see what they look like, if they're chalky and stuff like that. So I'll go ahead and test them. Okay, so I've laid out each colour. I haven't used the white or the black yet because I just want to see the pigments of each colour. They were a little bit oily, like I'm not even sure what this stuff is that comes out first when you open them. Like brown liquid. It had a lot of that in it when I first opened them. So I'm just like going to do a little swatch of each colour, just to like get a feel of what they look like. Okay, so these are how I would use them as watercolours. I've added water to each one just to kind of see how strong their pigment is, and to be honest, I'm quite impressed with them. The only ones that I don't think are very strong are, well, is this brown and this blue, and to be honest, there's not really that much difference in these yellows. So I think that's pointless to me anyway. But I really love this colour blue and this green. But they look quite good at the moment, going strong. As they're drying, they are drying very transparent. They don't look like they're holding their colour very well, which isn't a good thing, but the yellows seem to be holding up the best, whereas these have gone very very transparent. Yeah, so as they dry they're going very translucent, and so I'm just going to test the colours with less water. I didn't use a lot of water the first time though, to be honest, so I'm just going to try them like more dry and see what they're like straight from straight from the tube. They're not, they don't go on very well at all without the water. They don't really seem to be going on the paper very well without the water. They're getting stuck. The pigment is just getting stuck in all the little ridges of the paper. So, yeah, you definitely need the water for this one, for this set. Let's just try one of the other colours, a stronger colour. This is that nice blue. Ooh. Okay, it's much darker and just kind of, I quite like it. I quite like this colour. I don't know if I'm being biased towards the colour or the paints. I am going to test the paints on a picture in a minute. I'm just going to draw some flowers. Well, I'm not even going to draw them. I'm just going to paint some flowers with these paints and basically just see what happens. See if they're any good. So these are almost like completely dry now. Just going to see if they're chalky or if they rub off. I don't know if you can see that, but I literally just rubbed at the brown, which looks more like a beige now it's dry, and it just pulls the paint off, and I didn't even rub that hard. There's like some smears as well where I've rubbed it. Yeah, they're just coming off into little rolls of paint. That is where you can tell they're not very good quality, but I think they're okay. How often do you rub your paint? Seriously, how often do you do that? You know, probably not very. So now I'm just going to test out the white because I want to make a pink. Yeah, just testing to see how they've mixed together. This isn't going to be like a masterpiece or anything. I'm literally going to be like a child. And also to see how the colour layers on top of each other as well. So that was quite watery. So the colours have mixed quite well. It's made an even colour between the red and the white. I made this nice pink colour. So I think the mixing is can't speak. The mixing of the colours is good. I am going to mix a bit of the white with the green just to basically check and make like hoping for like a pastel-y green kind of colour. Oh, it's very, very thin, very thin. To me, that's way too thin. There wasn't even a lot of water on there, so I'm just going to add some more green pigment because I don't like it. To start adding a bit of detail. It's like almost dry. It's dry on the outside. Okay, I'm finding it a problem. When I put the paint on my brush, it just like clumps at the end of my brush. It just comes off in a big lump, unless there's a lot of water. And to get the pigment, you don't want a lot of water. So it's really hard at the moment because it's just getting on my brush in big lumps, whereas I want it in little little amounts at a time. But, you know, this is going on quite well. I like it. It's not the worst paint I've ever tried, to be honest. Okay, so I have the issue that occasionally when you add a darker colour, you want to, okay, especially with watercolours, you want to blend the colours, but that's not really happening with these unless you add a lot of water, but then you're just basically just moving the paint around. It's not blending very well, and this flower is just going to look atrocious. So when I try and blend it with more water, it just literally just moves the paint around, and that I do not like, because that's not supposed to, I don't know, maybe that is supposed to happen. Maybe it's just me. I like to move my paint around, but I like to blend it. So I've just basically I've just pulled the paint off the page because it's supposed to be lighter. Okay, so I don't have a problem with the mixing. I do have a problem with the blending. I don't know if you can see it as clearly as I can, but this is just hilarious. Hilarious. The yellow is basically not blended, and the more I try to blend it, the worse it gets. And here has just gone a bit orangey, and it just kind of looks like the yellow is sitting on top of the paper rather than being in the paper with the rest of the picture. Oh, so the pink and the reds have sat really well on the paper, but I'm just finding that as like the more water I add, the worse it looks on the page. So I'm just going to wait for this layer to dry. Most of the time I do everything wet on wet, and I don't wait for it to dry until I'm adding pen detail or any other kind of detail. But I think for this one I am just going to wait until it's dry and see how it layers like that, and see if it blends any better, because this is just not working for me. Okay, so this is dry now. I've just literally put a brown blob on top for the middle of my flower, and here I was testing the wet on wet, I suppose. So I wet the paper first and then just dabbed colour in the middle, and usually when you do this it like disperses in like circular motions, and this one didn't. This one's gone all wibbly around the side, and the colour's not even because I put blue first and then green, and the blue's just gone to this side and all the green's gone to that side. So I'm not sure what happened, but that didn't work. And I have just written Reeves Watercolours Set there, just so that I can literally just spread colour around on top of the pencil to see if it smudges, if it spreads, if you can still see the pencil underneath, that kind of thing, because a lot of the time I just do drawings and then add colour over the top. So just wanted to see how it goes with this, I suppose. It looks alright. The colour's not really very strong. it looks okay, I suppose. Usually though, when I do this, the colours tend to blend into each other and make a new colour. These haven't really been the greatest at doing that. They don't blend that well together once they're on the paper. The pink was nice because I made that in the palette, but this just, I don't know if you can tell, but I can see each of the little lines on the paper, should I say, and just not a fan really, not a fan. The flower's looking a little better from your view. Just want to reiterate about what I said when I said the yellow. You can kind of see all the little marks. They kind of look like this, but obviously a lot smaller, because that's what the paper is. It's just all these little like hashtaggy things. It's just basically, it looks like that, and I can see all the little squares. I can see all of these, so they haven't really blended that well, but I'm going to try and finish my flower and stop being so negative. I believe that this is an okay set. I think that it's fine for beginners. Maybe it just doesn't agree with my paper. This isn't the best watercolour paper that I could have chose, but it's the only one I have right now. So I'm not going to blame it entirely on the paint, although the paint is silly. It could be the paper, you know, that's a possibility. Could be just the way I paint. Okay, it's just making me laugh more than anything. And I'm just going to add a bit of white for highlight. It's just like gone into a big massive splosh of everything. That's not the worst. Not the worst. I'm not really sure what I'm doing here. I'm just doodling. Okay, so just in conclusion, they look quite pigmented. They're really good colours, strong. Don't know how they hold up over time because I've only just done this. The brown looks more like a beige. Yellow's not really much difference between them, and they rub off really easily, as you can see from these. Oh, the green doesn't rub off that well, actually. That's that's quite good. Maybe I should do it to all of them. Okay. Oh, that just smudged everywhere. That one was still wet. My bad. Okay, right. New discovery. The greens and the blues, they didn't smudge at all. There's a little bit of fallout on the page here where I've smudged it, but the colour didn't seem to come off of the splodge of colour. Okay, so yeah, the browns and this, I'm not even sure what this is because I've got yellows up there. What's this doing here? Is this supposed to be like a gold? I'm not sure. Yeah, so they rub off. The wet paper didn't work out because you get this mess. The colours mixed well in the palette, but they didn't mix well on the paper, as you can see on this one. You have to wait for them to dry fully before you add any other colours, because they just merge into each other but don't blend. They just sit on top of